I finished my initial training there, ground training. Then I went to Witbank. Witbank I flew Tiger Moths, and at 4 hours I was able to solo. Anyway, finishing off at Witbank, I went to Waterkloof and I went on to Harvard's, and I trained there and I finished. And in December 1943, I got my wings. I was posted to 1-7 Squadron, which is a RAF squadron stationed at St. Jean, near Haifa in Palestine. There I converted onto Spitfires, but as soon as I got there, 2 weeks later, the whole squadron was sent to England. And at North Weald, that was our first station, we got converted onto our Spit 9s. We did a few operations from there. One of the big things that happened there that to me is of quite a bit of importance is I actually saw the very first V1 that came across England. That was the 17th of July, I think it was. We were not allowed to partake in this hunting for this V1s because they've just brought out the new Meteors, which was given to a New Zealand squadron to do the shooting down of the V1s. But what we did is we went to our OC and said, look, we want to do gun tests with our aircraft. Yes, all right, do the gun test, but you're not getting live ammunition. So all we had was ball ammunition in the guns, but nevertheless we took off, we sat over the channel and waited for them to come across and then actually shoot them down with this ball ammunition, which took some doing. Yes, I got 4 of them there. The second thing, of course, was D-Day, which was the 6th of June. We were then stationed at Lim, and we were briefed on the 4th because D-Day was supposed to be on the 5th, but it wasn't on the 5th because the weather turned sour, so it all was postponed to the 6th. But we nevertheless had the operation to escort one of the big convoys of landing craft across to Juno Beach, which was one of the landing spots on D-Day. Well, we took off on the 5th of the morning, and we got halfway when we were told, look, turn back, you are not supposed to do anything, you're only supposed to do it tomorrow morning. The whole operation has been put back one day. Anyway, the following day we actually got up, but it is, I don't know how to describe it, but to see the whole of the British Channel filled with boats, landing craft, boats. Right, the first sortie we did was just escort a set onto Juno, and then we did a just quick survey in the air for further operations, so that we know what the area looks like. Then back to Lim. Then after that, I did, I think, 9 operations just on the beach, where we flew just to make sure, some escort of landing craft, but just to make sure that there are no German aircraft to plague them, and also to do some work because there was a forward controller there who would give us targets. We got one target where some guys in Caen, which was the town which they were trying to get through, where there was a big concentration of troops which was doing a counter-offensive against the British forces for us to go and strafe. We did this, but it is quite awful to see the way that you're killing people down on the ground, which can do up to, mind you, they did. The ack was terrible there. The bombing, we did a lot of bombing escorts there, either to that area or to the Pas de Calais, which was the area which was the dummy run, which the Germans thought that the D-Day will take place in the Pas de Calais over the Calais area, but it didn't. It, of course, went to Normandy. But we did escorts to both areas, and we used to take, sometimes take 500-pound bombs with us, and then do a run on one of the V1 sites. But that was mostly all the work we did there. Once or twice we got jumped by 109, but believe you me, it's such chaos that I had a look at one and I didn't even know who the hell it was. It was a Spitfire or a 109. Something had happened there one day. Jimmy Jenkins, a New Zealander, he and I were great friends. suddenly I said to him, I was leading, and suddenly I said to him, Jim, I think we've got one. I think we've got a 190. And we said, but it's a little way, it's flying away from us. Right, let's chase it. The two of us chased it, and we went we were in the middle of France, when suddenly I realized it is not a 190, it's a bloody oil spot on my windscreen. We did quite a number of sorties there, but then our role was changed completely, because now from Air Defence Great Britain, we now went into the Tactical Air Force. A signal came through asking for volunteers to do a tour on Typhoons. Well, there were three of us who were sort of halfway through or three-quarters way through a tour on Spitfires. We said that we would volunteer. And the reason why they were asking for this is that the losses of Typhoon pilots was so terrific that from the 6th of June, from D-Day, to the 17th of August, they lost 151 pilots during that period. And the attrition rate was quite fantastic. So they're asking for pilots to come forward and volunteer to fly. Well, the three of us volunteered to fly, went to Ashton Down, did a quick conversion course, and then back again to, and then posted to the squadron. I was posted to number 137 Squadron, which is a Typhoon squadron, stationed at, it was B6, the 6th landing ground that they've established there. That is where we got. The Germans was only just about 3 or 4 kilometers away, used to fire their 88 millimeters just on deck level, and it would explode on deck level. And our poor aircraft suffered badly from this, because it burst over our airfield, and of course the aircraft was very badly holed by shrapnel. Because they have now liberated Caen and they were on the move, we moved from B6 to Amiens. From Amiens, we stayed there a day, just a night, and the following day we went on to Melsbroek in Brussels. While we were there, we got then briefed on the 16th of September, got briefed to do an Operation Market Garden. We were allocated the Arnhem area before the parachutes came in. We had to do all the anti-flak, and this is the big role of the Typhoon, was anti-flak, anti-personnel, anti-transport, anything that moved was given to the Typhoons. And because we had to fly so low all the time, our losses were horrendous. I mean, we lost, for instance, on Market Garden, in one day we lost 21 pilots in the wing. It's almost impossible to keep a whole wing going with losses like that. But anyway, this was our biggest problem, was the ACAC. But we were the first in at on Market Garden, half an hour before the parachutists came in. Most terrific thing is to see all these hundreds of bloody Dakotas, either with the glider on the back of it or not, and then suddenly all these chaps jumping out of the aircraft. But what was the biter bit of this was to see a deck being hit, and the deck going down, and the poor parachutist in the glider, in the aircraft trying to get out. You see maybe one, maybe two coming, and then the deck would hit the ground. And of course we got into Arnhem, doing the strafing there and the anti-flak. And in order to be on the spot the moment that it would be required, we had a cab rank. 4 aircraft will be flying around a certain area, and we would have a controller down the bottom who would direct us to a target which the army would give them. And then we would go. And the number of tanks that we got there, in one day I can remember us, an assortie that I was on, that we got 6 tanks. And this is quite an effort, because the Tiger tank was just about impossible to hit. But what we did is, when we went on a sortie, where we knew we were going to get tanks, we used to have armor-piercing heads in our rockets. And that thing could go through any amount of steel. That was the whole thing up to Market Garden. After that, of course, things became very stable, and we used to do a lot of armed recce's where we looked for anything that moved. Our biggest problem was the loss on our squadron, because in the period that I was there, that's just our squadron. This is not the wing. It is just our squadron. We lost 13 pilots during the time that I was there. And this is killed. This is not people who bailed out or later on got POW or came back. But it was a scary thing. One operation there which I did was, what we used to do is, we go out, and if we can see a train, we mark the train, and then we go about 10, 15 kilometers further down the road, and then we got right onto the deck, and at the last moment we pull up, just before we get to the train, we just pull up and then go down and rocket the engine and so forth. But the Germans got wise to this, so they would put up a train there, but lots of smoke, and you see it, and oh, lovely, there we have a train. So then we would do this, but the moment we pull up, and as soon as we're at the top, the flaps of the coaches will just fall down, and you would be looking down 8 4 20 millimeters, 4 gun 20 millimeters. Well, there was a case about the first one to pull out was a bloody sissy, because well, you can do nothing. You just let go of everything. But on one such sortie, we were on the deck, and I was leading the flight because I'm leading the flight, and I'm doing the navigation for the flight because they were all looking at me where we were going. I saw to the left of me an 88 millimeter firing at us. And I saw this damn thing firing, and I thought, well, any minute from now he's going to hit, and he hit me. But strangely enough, it hit me in the fuselage, made a hole right through the fuselage, and did not go off, which was point number 1, which is the most. 88 millimeters, when that goes off, when it hits the aircraft, it goes off, then the aircraft is demolished. But now I was lucky. And all it did was made a hole on both sides, but it actually pitched my rudder trim. And if the rudder trim goes on a Typhoon, you have no chance. You'll be very lucky if you catch it, because it just rolls on its back, and that's it. But I was fortunate enough to catch it before it rolled over. So now I'm flying one side, one F-wing right down in a sort of a 40, 30 degree bank all the time. But now, in order to keep the aircraft, I have to put a lot of rudder on. Now, you can't do that because it's just bloody impossible. Your leg gets tired. And in the end, what I did is I got right down into the cockpit and grabbed the rudder bar with my hand and pulling it. And just then, a friend of mine, Johnny Colton, said to me, "Bert, are you in trouble?" I said, "Yes, I'm in big trouble. I'm down in the cockpit and I can't see where the hell I'm going." So he said, "Well, listen, I'll fly on top of you, and then you look at me, because you can see me." I said, "Yes, I can see." "All right, and I'll take you home." And this actually happened. He took me all the way home. You don't make it. You don't do a landing. It's a crash landing, because you just can't do anything. Your aircraft is in such a state that you cannot do a proper landing. But I did manage to get it down. Now, the problem with the Typhoon is, because of the big oil scoop at the bottom, it catches a light very quickly, very easily. And I can tell you what, I put that aircraft down, and we were scraping down the runway. No, it wasn't even a runway, it was a PSP, pierced steel. And I could see the bloody sparks flying, and I thought, boy, you must get out of this. And I got, my parachute was still on me. I got out of that aircraft, got onto the ground, and ran about 550 meters down the way to get away from the aircraft, because it was going to burn. I ran so fast that the blood wagon, the ambulance, couldn't catch up with me, because I was off. But the thing is that you got hit so often that I think I did 3 crash landings, most of them because of glycol, because your glycol gets hit, and then you've got no hydraulics, so nothing works. Then, of course, the last set of operations that I did was Operation Plunder, which was the landing of the troop of the divisions across the Rhine, which is called Operation Plunder. And there we again had the same sort of thing to do, was to do the anti-flak, anti-flak. But believe you me, it's a terrible thing. After the Market Garden, we had the chance to, they took us to a place called Roermond. It's near Venlo, it's in the German area. They took us to a place where we, as a matter of fact, our squadron, I may have been one of them, I can't remember, but where our squadron was actually detailed, and where they got 4 Tiger tanks badly shot up. And to see what an armor-piercing bullet does in a tank is absolutely horrific. That thing gets in, and it's only a small bullet, and it whirls around the inside of that tank, and it demolishes everything that is there. The poor people in there get cut in half, and oh, it's a terrible mess. It really is a terrible mess. Air Chief Marshal Sir Harry Broders, who commanded 20 squadrons of rocket-firing Typhoons in the 2nd Tactical Air Force, said, "I suppose that flying of these aircraft was the most dangerous task the Air Force has asked anybody to do." Of how many pilots, Typhoon pilots, were killed from the day, from about June the 6th until operations ceased. There were 666 pilots killed, quite a number taken POW. Then, of course, after the operations, I went as an instructor OTU at Acklington, and after 3 months there, we got the peace came, and then we were evacuated, and in the end, in November, we got home in the Ile de France, big passenger ship, brought us back home to Cape Town.